Ostasanalei. Ostasanalei. That is Cherokee, and it means good morning. I'm going to read something from Streams in the Desert. I don't know if this can... It's backwards. Streams in the Desert by L.B. Cowman. I'm going to read yesterday's because I didn't read yesterday's. And it's absolutely timely. I wept. I wept. Okay. I had fainted unless. Psalms 27:13. Faint not. How great is the temptation at this point. How the soul sinks, the heart grows sick, and the faith staggers under the keen trials and testings which come into our lives in times of special bereavement and suffering. I cannot bear up any longer. I am fainting under this providence. What shall I do? Yah tells me not to faint, but what can one do when he is fainting? What do you do when you are about to faint physically? You cannot do anything. You cease from your own doings. In your faintness, you fall upon the shoulder of some strong loved one. You lean hard. You rest. You lie still and trust. It is so when we are tempted to faint under affliction. God's message is not to us, be strong and of good courage, for he knows our strength and courage have fled away. But it is that sweet word, be still and know that I am God. Hudson Taylor was so feeble in the closing months of his life that he wrote a dear friend, I am so weak I cannot write. I cannot read my Bible. I cannot even pray. I can only lie still in Yah's arms like a little child and trust. This wondrous man of God, with all his spiritual power, came to a place of physical suffering and weakness where he could only lie still and trust. And that is all God asks of you, his dear child, when you grow faint in the fierce fires of affliction. Do not try to be strong. Just be still and know that he is God and will sustain you and bring you through. God keeps his choicest cordials for our deepest faintings. Stay firm and let thine heart take courage. Psalm 27:14. Stay firm. He has not failed thee in all the past. And will he go and leave thee to sink at last? Nay. He said he will hide thee beneath his wing, and sweetly there in safety thou mayest sing. Mishpoha, he's coming. The bride has to make herself ready. We must be acquainted with him in his griefs and sufferings, not to the point that he did, but to a degree that when we look in his eyes and he looks in our eyes, that we know, we understand. We already know that he looks in our eyes and he sees and he understands when we're in trial and suffering and pain and confusion and waiting. That's the probably one of the hardest parts, is the waiting when all the other stuff has been walked through. And then you see the promise, and it's so deep inside, but yet it tarries. The fullness of it anyway. You get tastes of it. You see bits and pieces. You see slivers of the promise shining through. So in the time where it feels like we will faint from the waiting, that's when that's now, or it's now for so many of us, I'm sure. we be still. And I want to say this, I don't care if you think I'm crazy, you need to go look this up. Grounding is something that we must begin to do immediately with our bodies. The earth is going through electromagnetic changes, serious electromagnetic changes. The planets are doing what they haven't done in their precession in 1,000 years. The sun. The earth has a frequency and a vibration to it that our bodies and animals depend upon. And we all know we've been separated, and we all know we've got electromagnetic, radio waves, all kinds of things, 5G. We've got energies going through the atmosphere, hitting our bodies and holding in our hands that humanity has never had before. If there are past civilizations that did advance to certain technologies, then apparently they suffered for it too. So our bodies are, if you picture your blood cells running around through your body, they're supposed to be free and moving freely. They're not supposed to be sluggish or stuck together. Well, what happens in the environment that we're in is we have inflammation, and that in the fluids, the cells, they're irritated, and so there's an inflammation that sets in where there's an expansion in tissue and in fluid that shouldn't be happening, and it causes like a traffic jam and congestion in traffic. That's what happens in our bodies. And our bodies immediately, I don't know if the word is uptake, but our bodies are immediately changed on an energetic level that affects the tissues and the blood and everything as soon as our feet come in contact with the ground barefooted. This is known. This is not it's not a fairy tale, it's not new age, it is absolutely literal. Just like animals eat clay, humans can use clay, we eat it, we use it on our skin, etc. We need sun. It's not just the light creating vitamin D in our bodies. It's the sun is doing other things to our bodies. And right now, the whole earth and our bodies are going through changes. High blood pressure can be one of the side effects of these planets pulling. I mean, they're lined up. Some of the biggest planets are all pulling in one direction, on the earth and on us. The seismic activity is kicking up again. And Svalbard at the top of the planet is having a swarm of earthquakes. I don't know if you have ever heard of the Global Seed Bank, but there's a Global Seed Bank in Svalbard. SVA, I don't know if it's 2 A's. L, Svalbard, B-A-R-D, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Svalbard. You can look up Global Seed Bank. We're going to get shook before the pole shift. We know water's running out west. There's going to be a mass migration of people. I spoke about that about 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I was speaking about that people need to be ready for people literally walking out of these states. California, Arizona. I'm not going to say anything about any others because I'm not absolutely positive, but I know there's going to be volcanic activity up in the northern western states. They're going to move cattle. Georgia needs to be a cattle ark. We are uniquely positioned, my husband and I, to help make that happen. We're going through a massive transition, planetarily, spiritually, and our bodies physically are being affected. We need to be out in nature as much as possible. We need to get kids in bare feet in dirt and grass. We need to be out around trees, breathing in the oxygen. And in natural forests, there's anybody that has, I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not talking some wacky stuff. We have got to be in connection with the earth because the earth is handling the changes. And it will help our bodies handle the changes too, but we must be in contact with her. We must have our feet on the earth. We must have our bodies around nature as much as possible. And a pastoral life is healthy on many, many levels. If you take drug addicts or addicts of any kind, or you take people with PTSD, they know this. They take them out in nature. They take them out on the water. They take them hiking. They take them fishing. There's all kinds of things that we can do in nature that will help put our bodies back in balance. And it's even more important as the earth is going through her change. We are having a pole shift. And when I say her, I don't call her Gaia, mother, or anything like that, but she does nurture us, and it's just an easy way to say it. The earth is supposed to be going through a pole flip. I think it's 10 months, 9 months right now. I know at the beginning of the year, it was for next year. And when we hit 40 degrees, 40 degrees in a magnet moving, it flips. If you've ever messed with magnets and you're pushing the opposites together, you'll see you get them to a certain place, closeness, and they flip. Well, that's what's happening with us. The sun is interacting with the earth magnetically, and the earth has huge magnetic rocks in it that have their own poles, of course, and when the sun is flipping its poles and it's flipping the earth's poles, those rocks are going to flip, and continents are going to separate and move. Things that are repelled now through those magnetic forces are going to be drawn together. It would be awesome if we had a land bridge right to Africa and I could go see my friends in Nigeria and Kenya. That would be amazing. But Africa's splitting. So there is a body of people that is going to be carried through this transition. They know it. They're being trained. And God is going to absolutely make sure that we are provided for to reach the other side. There's going to be communities. We have to work together. People that are not willing to work and are able to work but won't, you're not going to be able to be a part of those communities, because when the word talks about that we pray to the Lord of the harvest to thrust out laborers into his harvest, it is a literal physical laboring. It is laboring with our body, and we have a generation of people who barely do anything. Another reason to get outside and put your feet in the dirt and in the grass. It'll help wake all the blood cells up and everything. This is the first time I've done anything, I think, in 40 days. And I've been quiet. And God has brought me through an amazing process of surrender to some things. And the biggest thing that he has done in my heart at this point is absolutely getting a grasp of his faithfulness. That he truly will not leave us or forsake us. How many of us, we mess up one time, we do something stupid and we think, oh, he's going to strip the anointing from us. He's going to strip our call from us. He's going to take our names out of the book of life. And then we turn around and a short time later, we realize he hasn't left us. And that's a lot of what this part has been for me, is that his faith, I have no faith in my faith anymore. I used to think I had to have faith in my faith, if you know what I mean. I don't have faith in my faith. I have faith in his faithfulness. He's getting ready to turn this amazing tapestry, this mosaic that he's been weaving around. And I've been longing for it. It's going to happen through shaking. There's going to be a revelation that comes to the body of Messiah, but it's also going to cause a split. There's going to be things that come up that are going to challenge the religious spirit. And those things are deliberately there to reveal and challenge the religious spirit. The test is going to be for certain bodies of people, fruit or form. The way it's done or the fruit of what's being done. And if you can't see the fruit and you focus on the form, you have a religious spirit, and you will not be allowed to partake of the promised land. You just won't, because you're going to have God in a box. You're going to say, oh, he can't possibly do things that way. He can't possibly use people like that. If you don't get a new wineskin, your wineskin that you're in now will be broken, and you won't be able to hold the new wine. And I don't know why this isn't talked about enough more, but the way you create a new wineskin is you fast. You fast. You got to start with food, of course. And then when you get to a point where food doesn't matter, there's something else in your life that you like. It could be coffee. It could be a beverage. It could be a certain food. A bodily pleasure. I don't know if swimming in any of those would matter, but usually it has to do with the gut and the mouth and the stomach that you need to fast your physical body from. And that's how you create a new wineskin. When you read the scripture where it's talking about, Yeshua is talking right about fasting, and then he goes into the new wineskin. Well, that drove me crazy for a long time. You don't just switch subjects like that. What are you talking about? Well, how do you just go from that to another? And finally, because I just kept pressing in, it was revealed that what do we do when we need more of God, or we need to move something in our lives out? We fast. We fast. So fasting creates the new wineskin. When I see some of these ministers operating that are putting themselves really out there, and they have bellies, long-term bellies, it's a little concerning to me, because there's a wineskin that's not being made new. And as quick as God moves, sometimes we need to be making our wineskin new on a regular basis, if you know what I mean. So, we all know we're going through changes, but the biggest thing that I need to try to get across at this point is the earth is going through changes, and physical bodies are being affected. The nature thing. Abba walked with Adam and Eve in the garden in the cool of the day. We have our brothers and sisters, our Latino brothers and sisters, they do siesta. And they do that in the heat of the day, because you don't want to be out working in the sun if you can help it. But the cool of the day is at the end of the day, when you've been working, you've done all your stuff, go get grounded. Go get your body, your blood cells, I think it's the ions. There's a really good video on it. There's lots of scientific information. There's been studies. They've measured what it does in the body. It's instantaneous. You'll notice yourself taking a deep breath. It's even better if we can lay on the ground. Anyway, I just had a test. I'll just share a personal thing. My car, I was only going to be able to be here for one night with my husband. And that really bothered both of us, because I wasn't going to be able to come back till the end of the week again. And I had things to do. We had cows to work. So anyway, he said, my car had already been acting weird electrically, kind of a weak start. And so I was afraid I was going to get, I just always pray, don't let me get stuck somewhere. I drive old cars. Don't let me get stuck somewhere. And every time my car has had a manifestation of needing a repair at one of our homes. So it happened again. So I'm leaving the barn. I'm going to get in the car. My husband goes, I wish you could stay. I said, be careful what you ask for. I went to start my car. It was completely dead. Nothing. Not a spark, nothing. We tried to jump it. We left it on his battery for the longest time. It wouldn't even take a charge. Then I put it on a trickle charge. Well, it did a little something. A trickle charger, I put it on. It did a little something. And it turns out it was because I was messing with the cable. The cable was completely loose. So I had 2 extra days. Yeah, I was supposed to leave on Sunday, on Mother's Day, go back up to the hill. And it's Wednesday, and I'm still here. I got another day. I go back tomorrow. But I was tested because I had a panic attack, because I wanted to be with my kids on Sunday. My 2 kids still living at my house. I wanted to be with them on Sunday. I have to split my life between here and there. And so, that's a challenge. That's 5 out of 7 years. That's a long time to be commuting like I have been. And I was challenged. I thought, oh, I trust and I stay in the river, and if things happen, I know I just got to rest and trust God will work it out. I almost had like 3 major panic attacks because I couldn't get to my kids the way, that I couldn't just get in my car and go get to my kids. And I was really tempted. Well, in the meantime, my husband's praying in our prayer time, Lord, let it be just something really simple, like just a really quick, easy fix that Joe can come and just... It was the battery cable. It was the battery cable. And I was thinking, my car is really weird electronically anyway, and there's issues. I'm going, my whole electronic system in my car is shot. I'm going to need to get a whole nother car. And oh my goodness, it was so funny. And then all of a sudden, I'm totally resting. I just surrender. And then I read that about resting when you can't do anything and you feel like you're going to faint. That's not the only issue. I mean, I've got another issue in my life. I'm waiting on a promise. But so anyway, we're always tested, and we're going to be tested soon, I believe. And there's going to be a test, form or fruit. Abba has done things deliberately to reveal the religious spirit and to offend it, so that when it rises up, it's obvious. And people will have to make choices. Okay, I'm not going to keep this any longer. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Nuato hiada.